you know MSNBC is live all over the 2020 campaign trail, and that includes just down south of us in Virginia, where the former Navy secretary, who was fired by President Trump just 3 months ago, is about to endorse Michael Bloomberg for president. Yes, Michael Bloomberg, the Democrat. Richard Spencer, a lifelong Republican, says he's supporting the former New York mayor because he, quote, will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. Remember, Secretary Spencer was fired after he opposed what the president did in the case of Eddie Gallagher. Gallagher, of course, is the former Navy SEAL charged and acquitted of numerous war crimes in Iraq, including the murder of a prisoner. He was found guilty of one count of wrongfully posing with a human corpse. The president then told the Navy to end its review process of Gallagher and to restore the SEAL insignia that had been taken from him. Joining me now live from Norfolk is NBC News correspondent Courtney Kube, who knows all things Pentagon. And Courtney, give us some insight into Secretary Spencer's thinking here. Why did he decide to make this endorsement that, frankly, is bound to get under President Trump's skin?
Oh, you know it will, Hallie. And we're expecting to hear from him in just a matter of moments here in Norfolk. But we did get a written statement from him early this morning, laying out some of his feelings behind the decision to endorse Democrat Mike Bloomberg for president. And there were two specific things that really stuck out to me in his statement. He talked specifically about how Spencer believes that Mike Bloomberg will enforce the Uniform Code of Military Justice and that he will listen to his military leaders and heed their advice. That was a direct strike at President Trump. As you mentioned in the intro, of course, Secretary Spencer was asked to resign from his position after vocally opposing the president intervening in the Eddie Gallagher case and in other Uniform Code of Military Justice cases just late last year. So the fact that he specifically said here that he believes Bloomberg will listen to his military leaders is a direct shot at President Trump. Another thing that he said in his statement, Hallie, was he specifically he echoed the words of Secretary Mattis, the man who brought him in as the Navy secretary, talking about his allies. In the statement, he said that restoring America's standing in the world and repairing relationships with our allies will be a top priority in Mike's administration. Like I said, Hallie, we're expecting to hear from the Navy secretary in just a matter of moments.
You are in the room. We're going to keep our eye on that live shot, Courtney Kube, down there in Virginia. Court, thank you. Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. Why don't you subscribe? It's really easy. Just click on that button down there. And for more news from MSNBC, click on any of these videos here for the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more videos from MSNBC with our newsletters. Head over to msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up.